Dr. John Rodriguez is a senior practitioner. We welcome him on behalf of Diary of Homeopaths and Seminole Globes. He is going to share his experience about handling of advanced pathological cases. We welcome Dr. John. Over to Dr. John. John, please start your session. Hello, Dr. John. Yeah, start the session.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Kamlesh Mehta and the entire team. Thank you for the kind introduction. And thanks, Dr. Kamlesh Mehta and his team of Diary of Homeopaths, who has given me the opportunity to speak on how to manage advanced pathological cases. How much time? Is it a time bound? How we plan? Is it a time bound of 1 hour?
You have time, no problem.
Okay, how many have joined in so far, Dr. Kamlesh?
Till now we have about 36 participants, 39 participants.
Right away. Okay. I'll give you a brief introduction.
It is growing, people are joining, 40 have come. Gradually people are coming from very different places. We have people from Miraj, we have people from Surat, we have people from Jammu, we have people from Mumbai and different parts of Maharashtra. Please switch off your camera, everybody switch off camera. And switch off your microphone. When you are joining, please make sure that your video and audio is muted. Dr. Preeti, please switch off your video camera. Dr. Yogesh, switch off your microphone and video. Dr. Preeti, Dr. Kirti, please. Dr. Dharini, please switch off your microphone.
Dr. Kamlesh, tell me when should I start?
Yeah, it's time to go. Okay.
Can I? Okay. So,
yeah.
Is to cure and to relieve the ailing sick person and bring him back to health. And what better way is to share our experiences with each other, so that at the end of our life we all may say the same thing what Dr. Hahnemann said, that I too have not lived in vain.
Dr. John, speak little loudly.
Is it soft now? Can I speak? Take the headphone. Tell me whether it is better now.
Speak little loudly. Only speak little loudly, no problem.
Okay, is it clear now? Am I audible?
Yeah, it seems fine. Yeah, it seems fine.
Dr. Kamlesh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me now, Dr. Kamlesh? Dr. Kamlesh, can you hear me?
I can hear.
Police sir.
Can I continue or you want me to
Yeah,
go
continue,
louder?
continue. Continue, please.
Yeah, so if there is any problem with your audio, you can let me know. I'll stop there and there. So I was speaking about the first aphorism, and I just came to know Dr. Hannibal's end of life statement that he has not lived in vain and he has lived his life and to continue the mission. The mission being is essential in understanding and expressing that we have not lived in vain. So today I'll be starting with the presentation, with the PowerPoint presentation which will start. No, you have to go to the Okay. Can you see it? Okay, I'll read it for you. Dr. Kamlesh, can you see it?
Share desktop and then you start your slides.
Yeah.
Okay, desktop. Okay. Now, okay. Now, can you see?
Go to first video. First.
Now,
Okay. The topic.
It's loading.
hello.
The screen is loading.
Let him go on. No?
So the topic for the day is essentials in homeopathy and application in clinical practice. Okay. And next. So the mission is to cure every sick patient entering our clinic. We believe that a feeling of well-being is the most beautiful gift that can be given to any person on this earth. And this feeling is most gratifying when brought out in a child who is our tomorrow, and his or her well-being leads the others. Right homeopathic medicine has excellent curative properties from healing from within at all levels: spiritual, emotional, intellectual, physical, and pathological levels. Okay, next slide. So these are some pictures which I put on my photograph. There are some photographs, some illnesses which are there. One is a case of facial palsy. There is a case of thalassemia, psoriasis, and whatnot. Yeah. Next slide. So these are some of the information given. Next slide. So according to that, what is a mission? I will just brief out. Yeah. Next slide. Mission. The important task, an important task is to given by a creator is basically what is the purpose of your life. All of you who are here are become homeopathic doctors or doctors.
Hello. I took it right on top. चलेगा?
Is it seen now?
बंद करूँ? Okay.
Is it
अभी?
better now?
Okay.
Dr. Kamlesh, can you hear me? Yeah, the PPT is visible?
Yes.
Okay, fine. The important task given to every person on the earth is called what is the mission, and we are doctors not by chance. We have been chosen by the Almighty basically to become a doctor, and more so as homeopathic doctors. So which mission has to be taken seriously by all on the group. Next slide. So what is the mission of a homeopath? Next. A mission is basically to cure, and not only the one which is curable, but the incurable. I put it, what do you mean by incurable is basically curable from inside. In short, every disease is curable provided you cure it from inside. So you sort of take both the words away from each other, it becomes curable from inside. That's exactly what incurable means. Next line. Okay, the famous Chinese proverb is said that when you hear something, you forget. When you see something, you remember. But when you do something, you know. When I put it here, if you hear a case being treated, you may forget. But when you see a case being cured, you may remember. And when you yourself are curing every single case in your clinic, you know how to cure the case. And I will take an attempt today to show you so that you see some case getting cured. And tomorrow you go back to your clinics and start curing it yourself. Next slide. The saying goes that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time to plant a tree is right now. And if you understand homeopathy better today, things will change right from today, and you will find a better homeopathy world to follow. Next slide. The title: the more you sweat to practice skill, the less you feel. So these are some things which I want to. The more you sweat out to learn your skills, the more you take efforts to learn the homeopathic skills of practice, the less you will fail in practice.
Why can't you really get better hearing?
Can you hear me, Dr. Kamlesh?
Now your screen share is visible.
Can you hear me? Can we go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So now we start to really next slide, please. Before this, what is the patient next? Next slide. Next one. Next one. Do's and don'ts. Before this. Very important part. When I saw the internet, it was shown very clearly on the internet that the maximum risk of homeopaths to a success is that 80% of the time it has been due to a very successful case taking. 80% of the time, a very good complete case taking goes to the success of a successful prescription. So, as Hahnemann says, there are three sources of case taking. One is from the patient, him or herself. Second is from the relative who stays with the patient. So, I call A is the patient, B is the relative or the person who comes along, or sometimes may not come along, but you can get through on the telephone. And third is the physician himself. So the observation, and if A plus B plus C is all complete, we have a complete case taking with a complete understanding of the case. So there, I'll just rush through the basic things which is required for a good case taking. So do's and don'ts. Can you see it very clearly, Dr. Kamlesh?
Okay, go. I request everybody to switch off the mic. Hello, please everybody switch off the mic.
Do's and don'ts. So the all information given by the patient should be correct, accurate, and complete. No leading questions to be asked during the case taking. The only word which you need to ask when the patient gets stuck is tell me something more about your problem. Is what is the problem? Where do you get the problem? Since when the problem has been there, and why did you get this problem? So you have to rotate on these few keywords rather than asking direct questions. And to find the modalities, you find out how much intensity, or what are the things which aggravate the issue, or what is it which make the problem less. And the other thing is, how did it start? The origin of the problem, we call it the origin, the duration, how long it has been there, and how the disease has progressed.
ID खोलिए OT ID ना
So aphorism 3,
तुम्हारे से
it clearly what is why Hariman said. So today webinar is mostly going to focus on this. Aphorism number 3. If the physician clearly perceives, I have written in red, what is to be cured in disease. The person is coming with some sickness, the patient is coming with epilepsy, the patient is coming with renal failure, the patient is coming with vitiligo, asthma, any name of disease, that's a name. You have to know the in-depth of the disease. That is, every individual case of the disease, the physician clearly perceives what is, the second part is, what is curative in medicines. That is part of the materia medica. That is to say, each individual medicine, what are the qualities or what are the things which have been proved and found out in pathological indications, and how to adapt on the basis of the defined principle, that is the ability to cure on the basis of similibus curanter, and what are the things which is not allowing the disease to get cured, what is undoubtedly morbid, and what is disease in that particular patient. Next slide. So that the recovery must ensue, so that the complete cure takes place, to adapt as well as in respect to the suitability of the medicine, the most appropriate to its mode of action to the case before him, and also in respect to the exact, that is the pharmacy, the preparation, the potency, the quantity of the proper dose, the period of repeating the dose, that is the second prescription, and any obstacles which are lying, which is not allowing the patient to get cured in spite of the remedy being right, and how to remove them so that the restoration may be permanent. Then he or she is the only one who can treat this patient judiciously and rationally, and he or she is called a true practitioner of the healing art. So these are the basic requirements you need to see when you see every patient. Any of these points are not taken care, the treatment will falter, the cure process will falter, and the end result also will falter. So these are the important points you need to take care. So am I too fast, or it is okay? Is the speed okay? Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Next
Speed is okay.
Useful to the physician in assisting him to cure are the particulars of the most probable exciting cause. The important points I have highlighted in red. Hope you can see it. The exciting cause of the acute disease, and also for the most significant points in the whole history of the chronic disease, to enable him or her to discover the fundamental cause, that is basically the fundamental miasm, which is generally due to a chronic miasm, which is Hahnemann himself has mentioned. And these are the quotes from the Organon, aphorism 5. In this investigation, the ascertainable physical constitution of the patient, especially when the disease is chronic, his moral, his intellectual character, his occupation, his mode of living and habits, and his social and domestic relations, his age, sexual function, etc. are to be taken into consideration. Then and there only we can say that the case is complete. So the first role of a physician or a doctor in the clinic before going ahead is to see that as possible the case is 100% complete. You cannot prescribe an incomplete case. The moment you start, they say a cake which is half baked, is half cooked, will not taste good. So you have to see that the information comes in from it. And whenever there is no time, sometimes you have to see a lot of patients, you don't have time, break it up. Whatever dominant symptoms comes, you create an acute totality at that moment of time, and maybe call the patient next day or maybe after 3-4 days when the patient has time and you have time, so that the case is complete. Till then, if you are not very sure of the prescription, put the patient on SL, or you can give an acute totality at that moment of time if the patient has a severe complaint, where the patient is having maybe some high infection or fever or an acute diarrhea or an acute headache. You can treat for 3 days or 2 days. Let the acute tide over. Till then, the patient will come in a much comfortable phase and in a position where the patient can complete the history. But always tell the patient to come with one relative, one person who knows the patient well, so that the case is taken. So we need to have two sessions.
So we
One
need
with
to
the
have
patient
two sessions.
and second is with the relative. And both interrogations should be done privately. See that they are not both together at the same time. Next slide. So the other part is the unprejudiced observer. The important point is most of the physicians know that we should not be prejudiced. If there are any questions coming out, I will suggest you that I can show you one case.
Yeah, what how to put the audio? How to make? Try na pata.
Can I
Try.
continue? Yeah. Okay, Kamlesh. This is about just brushing up to get the best or the choice of the most appropriate remedy. Next slide.
Baby, see the choice.
Now we go to the
Make it loud na pata.
Now we come to the clinical application. Clinical. The clinical application. So the same thing which I was telling you earlier, just a brush of it. If you want to note down, you can make your notes. The clinical application of homeopathic medicine. Hello, can you hear me? Did you see it? Okay. Now is it better? Okay. Yeah, because there is no this. Okay. You can, but the video is seen. The video is coming clearly. Yeah. Okay. Slide. Physician mission. Next slide. Okay. So physician should have a knowledge of a proper, we call it as case receiving. It's not case taking. You're supposed to be more listening to the case. So you're receiving a case from the patient, from the relative, and the physician job, most of the experienced physician says, the moment the patient enters the clinic, the entry of the remedy starts. The way the person walks, the way he talks, the way he sits, his body language, his expressions, and the last line of the patient when they leave the clinic is more or less the confirmation. So your job as a physician in the clinic is to be continuously trying to avoid talking much, allow the patient to speak maximum, whatever he or she has to say. The second interview would be the interview with the relative,
At
and the
home
same
unless they
procedure
come down. Don't go terrace. You don't know, then tell him you come here to take me.
expressed through the signs and symptoms,
Yeah.
clinical knowledge of the disease. So I put it like for a physician to cure most of the cases, he or she should have what is called as the understanding of the clinical disease, which I put as CD, that is called knowledge of clinical disease or clinical diagnosis. So if you know a case or you're getting a case of epilepsy, you have to have well-versed version and knowledge about what epilepsy is all about. If you're treating a case of renal failure, you have to have well-versed version from textbook of Harrison about what renal failure is all about.
First,
Asthma, so and so forth, every case.
ऐसे करो,
Don't touch
फिर एक
or try to treat the case if you're not at that moment of time, if you're not very well versed in knowledge, maybe you can call the patient 4 days. In the meantime, you brush up your knowledge from the Google, from your source books. Try to understand how much you can grasp about the latest things about that particular part of the disease. Once you know that, then the second part of a homeopathic physician is to try to take the case complete. The second part is trying to bottle down to come to the essential analysis of the case. So once you analyze the case, then you're going towards what is called as repertory. So a good knowledge of the repertory is important. Applying on the base of organon. So CD is the clinical diagnosis. Repertory is the R. The O is the part of organon, and the materia medica, which will help you to enter and come to the right remedy. So the short form to be a good practitioner in prescribing in the clinic is CD-ROM. CD stands for clinical diagnosis. R stands for a good knowledge of repertory, O for organon, and M for so if you're good with CD-ROM, this is how I started my initial practice in the 90s. That time the computer had just come in and we had good CD-ROMs. That's how so this was my understanding. Next slide. So initially when I passed as a homeopath, I didn't start homeopathic practice right away. I entered into a part of the clinical part where I was into general medicine and I was an intensivist where I worked almost for 3 to 4 years into cardiology, clinical medicine, trying to understand in which cases we have potentials and a lot of cases where the cardiology is to fail in the ICU. I used to give few doses of homeopathic medicines in case of cardiac failure, maybe Digitalis 30 or maybe Crataegus in case of chest pain. And the results with those patients who were actually treated by allopaths, the results were much better next day. The credit would definitely go to the cardiologist, but I knew what was working faster. And they have been there in the ICU for almost 8-10 days. And their regular allopathic medicines were on. But the response changed immediately when few doses of homeopathic medicine, the totality would feel rather come in properly, the results were much better. And that's how it gave me confidence that homeopathy can work in extreme cases in private practice. Then I started treating initial case of asthma, results were good. That's how I started treating psoriasis and later on a lot of. So today I'll be showing you one or two cases of neurological cases where I found fantastic results. So I'll be showing you some cases of, rather one case in detail about an epileptic child. So hope the video is clear. Yeah, next slide. So yeah, we did escape from this. We try to go to the. So we start with the case of a video, and first I'll give you the description of this case. This case is a case of epilepsy case. Epilepsy case. So this is the case of a child. Yeah, am I audible now? Can I go with the case? Yeah, okay. Okay. So we'll just go with this case. This is the case of a 9-year-old boy with a history of ADHD, which means attention deficit hyperactive disorder, comes with frequent episodes of convulsions in modern medicine called epilepsy. And more, he used to get convulsions in sleep. And the patient, when he came to me, was on almost 5 anti-epileptic medicines with a very partial response. The convulsions continued. When you'll find the video coming up, the father and the mother will tell you that he was being treated by one of the most reputed hospitals in Mumbai, and the improvement was not very much. The boy developed convulsions when he was 3 years old. Mother said that he had undergone prolonged labor during the delivery for 2 days before he was born. So the delivery was a little difficult. The boy's milestone was delayed and he was late in talking. The child's nature also was very restless, a very hyperactive child. The video later on wants to break things, used to keep jumping all around. And there are two faculties. One was the part of his attention hyperactive disorder, attention deficit, and primarily his problem was with epilepsy. My experience is a lot of children, when they are on antiepileptic treatment, they have a lot of side effects. And most of them end up with a lot of hyperactive disorders and a part of learning disabilities. So more or less, both complaints are handling a lot of children who have early childhood epilepsy. They have a tendency, he had a tendency to bite his parents and his colleagues in school. Next one. Child was always attention-seeking, dominating. He used to repeat the same thing again and again whenever he wanted to. What is this? So he would keep asking the mother and the father, what is this? What is this? What is this? A very, very mischievous child, very restless with his hands, could not sit in one place, always moving around. And he had intense fear of darkness and intense fear of dogs. Next slide. I will just tell you what was given. Actually, the slide came in. On the basis of this, I gave him on the acute totality a medicine on basis of destruction, desire to break things and all, and he was given a dose of Cupermed. So after Cupermed, single dose of 200. Next slide. The response was very amazing. He had no convulsions after the first dose. I followed him up for 3 days, and for 1 month, a few doses of cuprum were given, not more than 3 or 4, and there was no relapse of convulsion in the first month. Before homeopathic treatment, he used to get more than 4 to 5 convulsions every day. On further follow-ups, he had episodes of sudden laughing, loudly, restlessness, very fidgety feeling in the feet, would continuously walk around the room. He showed no signs of any fear. He used to be very fearless, very reckless, and always difficult to control him, even in the consulting room or at home. In school, teachers used to have difficulty teaching him because he could never sit in one place. His attention, the hyperactive disorder was so much. So after the medicine, a lot of things came up.
Nick,
Yeah, just come.
come on.
Yeah, then the follow-ups were given after some time. His convulsions were less, so he developed pain in the abdomen and used to get a typical aura in the abdomen before developing a fit. So later on, the whole thing came into the stomach and used to come running, saying, "Doctor, I think I'm getting a convulsion because I'm getting the colic in the stomach." So he used to develop this typical aura. Since there was, after the repetition of 200, there was no much improvement, so I had to increase the potency to 1M. And there were minor improvements which is seen in his attention deficit, ADHD, and his restlessness. So at this moment, I had to reevaluate the case because the patient was not holding with this remedy. Close. Close. Now come back. Come back to me. So I'll just come. Good. Was the case clear till here? Can we interact at this level? Because at this we want interaction. Yeah. So now we will come to the discussion. So this patient, yeah. So let's open this so that there is interaction at this. Yeah. So I will answer. Okay. So you have to open the chat box, right? You get it or even I get it? The chat box. Yeah. Dr. Kamlesh, any questions are there? We can do as some interaction. So at this moment of time, do people want to know any more information or because the case takes a turn after this?
Whether group has any questions to Dr. John at this point of time because he wants to share something further interesting in the case. Okay, Dr. John, go ahead.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so we'll continue the case from here. Case. The same thing.
It's okay.
Okay, so so that was the prescription which was given after cuprum meant, I think that was the prescription which was given 1M. So there was no further improvement. So I thought of reevaluating the case. So other information came up from school that he used to everyday beat children in school, and when asking or doing anything, used to keep repeating the same question again and again. Great desire to push, the great desire to hit. Okay. At this moment of time, I got this remedy where the remedy is zincum metallicum, where the hyperactivity is very high, destructiveness, repeating things. If you see the repertory, you will get this rubric. Repeats things before answering, even in Materia Medica. And the response after zincum metallicum 30 was there was an overall improvement in his case, which was not seen with cuprum metallicum. His hyperactivity, which was partially remaining, has improved. His destructiveness has improved. His level of studying, his ability to grasp, the ability to sit in his ability to sit in the class became better. Teacher gave a very positive remark that he could sit in the classroom and the teacher could teach him.
No, that's what I tell you.
He's still undergoing the treatment.
Now it's okay, no?
So I'll just put up the video.
Somebody asked me the question.
I'll put up the video of the case where the father is giving you the review and you can see the child moving around. After you see the video, then if any questions are coming up, we'll sit and have an interactive session. So I'll just put up the video of this case. The father is giving the overall review how his condition was before coming to homeopathy and what are the changes which has happened and what is the response till date till he's coming to me. So we'll start the video right now. Close. That video. Son, when he came to me, what was his trouble?
This is about my son Zidane, who came to us at the time where he had a lot of epilepsy and seizures. He used to get continuously, and we went to.
Son, when he came to me, what was his trouble?
This is about my son Zidane.
Son, when he came to me, what was his trouble?
This is about my son Zidane.
Yeah, the patient's name is Zidane, and this is the father of the child who is giving the review how his condition was when we started the case. Is the video clear? Video is clear? Okay, we start here. Okay, start.
Who came to us at the time where he had a lot of epilepsy and seizures. He used to get continuously, and we went to a lot of doctors all over the city trying to figure out how can we solve this problem. But the only thing that actually happened is they kept increasing his medication and his dosage. It started affecting his education, his aggression, and a couple of schools also asked him to leave the school. We had to admit him and get him admission in a private school, which is a special school, and it was affecting his behavior since he was copying the behavior of other children. We have been fortunate enough to land up and be introduced to Dr. John, who has effectively understood the problem and solved the problem right from the root in a very short period of time. The allopaths have told us it would take close to around 4 years to solve this problem, or even more, or it might even be a lifetime problem. But within a very short span of around 1.5 to 2 months, Dr. John is able to treat him and cure him completely of his epilepsy. And now we are seeing a very different child. We're getting good reports from him, from his teachers, and at home also we see big, huge improvements in him. As a child, there are still a few other problems, basic problems that we are working on solving. Minute problems like his restlessness, his mouthing behavior, his causeless laughing and the likes. But I'm sure with the support of Dr. John, I'm very confident this will be taken care of, and we're very happy and lucky to be over here at his clinic.
His mother is here, so you would like to say something about Zidane?
About Zidane, whatever.
English, Hindi, whichever language are come.
He's improved a lot after his doctor's medicine.
So what are the things has remained and what are the things has cleared up? What are the major improvements?
Major improvement is that seizure part is gone now.
What was the intensity and severity of this convergence of seizures when he used to get it? He was getting it with the medicines also, with the convergent medicine that time, or it had stopped?
In the middle it stopped and again started
When he was
after 1
taking-
year
Even when he was taking the medication.
taking the medicine.
So it had not stopped.
So the allopathic medicine was not working.
Working.
In spite of taking allopathic medicines, the seizures were there and they were coming.
Yeah.
And we felt very
Always
helpless.
when he's sleeping in the bed night afternoon.
Yeah, towards the
So
afternoon.
now, in the last, how long he's become seizure free or he's become
I think 6
convergent?
months.
From the very moment we started, 1.5 months since your treat, right from day one, it's gotten better and better, and now he's completely seizure free. and we see huge improvements in his behavior.
So you want to say something?
And he saw
This is a
this
patient.
one also.
We can say hi to everybody.
Yeah, he saw this.
Shiver mystery.
How are you now?
How are you, Zidan? How are you feeling?
How are you?
You're feeling fine?
Feeling fine? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. Can you come here, Zidan, please?
How you are feeling?
Can you please come here,
Come
Zidan?
to your dad.
You will come here?
Good.
I'm fine.
Yeah, good to
You
see
say
you
something.
fine.
You want to
Tell
say
everybody.
you want to say a poem or you want to say something?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You know something?
Zidan, you want us to tell us? You want to tell the spelling?
He was
What is the
sleeping.
spelling of the color blue?
BLU.
And what is the spelling of the color yellow?
YLU.
And what is the spelling of the color black? Very good. So this is the improvement we saw in him because earlier he would not be able to spell. While he still has writing problems that I'm sure will be solved with practice and a lot of hard work on our end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Son, when he came to me, what? So hope you have understood this case. Am I audible?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So this was a case of epilepsy and the follow-up has been extremely good. So this was one case which I can tell you. So you want me to continue or any questions coming in at this level? Dr. Kamlesh,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, Dr.
Hello.
Pankaj,
Dr.
go
John.
ahead.
You answer some
Yes,
questions
sir.
at this moment.
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Can you please elaborate the process through which you come to that zincum metallicum remedy? The
Can you please
process
repeat out?
means.
Dr. Kamlesh, can you repeat what he's asking?
Hello.
He's just requesting you to explain how did you come to the remedy zincum
Zincum.
metallicum.
Yeah.
Yes.
The initial part of the remedy which was based on that was basically the rubric which was taken was one of the strong rubrics are repeating things whenever asked. You can see it in the last video also when I was talking to him. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if you take that rubric, repeat things before answering questions in the repertory, there are not many remedies for that. One of them is Lachesis, Zincum metallicum. Anyone has the repertory with you all?
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Kamlesh?
Yeah, you go ahead. People are with you.
So that was one of the rubric which was a strong rubric which came up. We have to look for basically a drug which has an affinity on the neurological system, that is the pathology. So whenever you prescribe a patient with a pathology, you have the totality of the case which has the disease also covered. So you have a PQRS, one is the mind symptom, one is the general symptom and the particular symptom followed the miasmatic level. This is basically a person right from childhood has developed these problems. There was a delayed labor at almost 2 days delayed. So there was something which was going delayed right from the childhood process. Difficult to thrive. A child which was a miracle child survived. He is born with attention deficit. He has been continuously having convulsions from the age of 3 with lot of anti-epileptic drug. The future of this patient has been completely gone. This child is not growing well. He is not been able to study. So there is a lack, the suppression of the in zincum metallicum, you see there is a lot of suppression there. One of the suppression is suppression of skin eruptions, if you see. But here his growth pattern has been suppressed, and the response, the reaction of the body is what you see. The selection of the remedy is how the patient is reacting, and the reaction is he is restless hands, restless feet is one of the strong indication of zincum metallicum. Repeats things before answering is also the strong indication, and affection of the neurological side was one of the third indication. So these three symptoms became the dominant prescription of zincum metallicum. Earlier, cuprum metallicum was based only on the convulsions. So that is the reason why it was not able to hold well even after going to 1M. Experience that says that if the remedy is right, it responds best to 30th potency. If your potency keeps going higher and higher, 200, 1M, 10M, most likely the remedy is a partial remedy and you may need to reevaluate these cases. Maybe your remedy is very close, but it is not the perfect simillimum. And that's how the remedy was very closely knit to the metal kingdom only. One is cuprum metal and one is zincum metal. But not many would think about zincum. It's only the rubric selection which helped me to come to zincum metal. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Dr. Kamlesh? This answered
Yes,
well.
yes.
Yes.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Kamlesh, any more questions?
Yeah, so far no.
Okay. So I would just want to continue now. This was one case which I showed. So I would advise most of the, I don't know how many homeopaths on the forum are treating neurological cases, cases of convulsions, cases of epilepsy, cases of meningitis. But I would say that the highest scope of homeopathy is for neurology. Basically because in modern medicine, there is something called as the blood-brain barrier. And most of the modern medicine drugs doesn't reach the neurological system. The delivery, because there is no blood, there is CSF. In fact, homeopathy works the best because it is through the lingual nerve, it directly stimulates the central nervous system. So the only part of homeopathy is that we need to get to the right remedy. The moment our remedy is right, then the remedy works very fast. There are some questions which are coming up. Can I go through
There
the
is one
question?
question. One question is there whether any anti-miasmatic was given.
Yes. No, basically every remedy which you give in a case has already an inbuilt miasm. Okay, so all the heavy metals basically are dominantly syphilitic. Whether you take cuprum and zincum metallicum, very few of them are psychotic and very few of them are soric. Like sulfur would be dominantly soric, but all the three miasms are there, and we never gave a separate miasmatic drug. The prescription in clinical side today is every medicine which is given has an inbuilt miasm. That's the reason a lot of remedies when given doesn't require an anti-miasm to clear up a case. It's only some of the cases where the remedy may be a partial remedy, then we take the help of a anti-miasmatic, or sometimes there is a miasmatic block, which Dr. Devadega the other day was speaking, and the same remedy would work better when the anti-miasmatic is given. But most of the cases which are there, if the remedy and if the newer remedies which are not being used regularly, actually these are regular remedies which are not being so frequently used in practice. How many on the forum would actually think of a zincum metallicum? These are not very rare remedies, but we are rarely prescribe it. Am I clear? Yeah, there's a question coming up by Dr. Kishma Vinod. The question is, how was the allopathic medicine tapered off? It's a wonderful question. Now, whenever you have patients coming to you with advanced pathology, the first question comes from the relative is, should we stop allopathy or we should take both the medicines, or whether homeopathy would work when allopathy is going on, and how to take both the medicines simultaneously. I always advise patients to take homeopathy before meals because homeopathy works best on a clean tongue, and by and large allopathic medicines are given after food, most of them. So already there is a gap of minimum 2 hours gap. The medicine which the patient is taking when they come to homeopathy, try avoid giving them steroids. If the patient is depending on steroid, then you need to gradually taper it off. Do not stop steroid overnight, because there would be basically an adrenal crisis and the patient would land in a very severe emergency. So a little bit of intensive care. See, I was an intensivist, so I'm aware of the adrenal crisis, I'm aware of what are the, so you need to be little trained. I advise every homeopath to have some clinical training of at least 6 months of intensive care, of modern medicine practical training, so that you are aware what you should do when you get pathological cases. Otherwise, what happens if you don't manage it successfully, it goes back to a modern medicine doctor and it creates a bad name, that is homeopath has spoiled the case. So if a homeopath is well versed clinically, which I put at CD, the clinical diagnosis and clinical management, then the tapering, as the patient keeps getting better, the doses also are gradually tapered off. Suppose the patient is on 5 medicines. They are not starting 5 medicines overnight. Suppose they are on anti-epileptic drugs, 5. So the one which, it is like the way Herring's law is. The one medicine which has been started last is the medicine which gradually should be reduced first, and the one which has been started first should be reduced last. Because the one which is started first, they get dependency for a very long period of time. And when you gradually taper it up, so from the fifth medicine reduced to the fourth, to third, and the one with the patient is very much dependent on, something like life-saving drugs should be kept. The not so life-saving drugs, the patient is a cardiac patient, so keep the cardiac drugs going. If the patient is some asthmatic and the patient is depending on some inhalers with less of toxicity, keep the allopathic drugs which are less toxic going. The one which is more toxic, the one which is highly steroidal, try to reduce that early so that the response of homeopathy is fast. Because if there are high dose of steroids going, even if the medicine is right in homeopathy, the response may not be so good. Because steroids are immunosuppressants and homeopathic remedies are immunostimulants. So the effect will not be seen so clearly. Okay? Hope I have done justice to this particular question.
There is one question. There is one question about that in the response of the treatment, what do you expect to improve it first, ADHD or epilepsy?
No.
And the related question is,
Yeah, I got the point. Whether what are the things you expect first to improve? Whether the epilepsy should improve or the ADHD, right?
right?
Yeah, the patient didn't come to me primarily for the ADHD. ADHD was the process of overall. Initial problem was always epilepsy. Person was treating in the leading hospital also had gone for epilepsy. And epilepsy is always more scary. If suddenly a child gets fit, or even any adult, the whole scene changes, right? If suddenly a person becomes unconscious, even in your clinic, I don't know if you have seen a case getting convulsions in your clinic. The scene is different, right? So obviously, I would always expect the convulsions to reduce first, because that is what is the chief complaint of the patient. And what reduces the convulsions? Usually convulsions happen because there is a problem in the chemical mediators in the brain, the synapses, and there is no harmony. The harmony is lost, and that is exactly what the right homeopathic remedy does. It brings harmony, right? That is what Organon 9 says, no? The vital force job is to bring the harmony. So when the remedy is right, it brings harmony in the vital force. And when the harmony comes, obviously the functional things start coming better. Patient is able to, you could see him in the video. Was he looking alert or was he looking very...
He was alert, yeah. He was playful. He was answering.
Any more questions?
There are two questions. They are related questions.
Yeah, there
Doctor,
are lots of questions. I was Cupram as selected. That was basically the partial minimum. So I wanted to show you that in practice, the first remedy is not the last remedy. And not that when the first remedy is wrong, you cannot cure. The only purpose of showing this to upcoming homeopaths and homeopaths for not giving persistent result is success comes only when you fail. So all those cases which are not getting results, with the response may not be good, go back to your clinics today. The take-home message today I want to give you is reevaluate each case which is not been getting results. Try to get reevaluation not from the patient. Go back and try to understand from the relative. Reevaluate the case from the relative. The relative is not
Dr. John, question is about significance of the disease symptoms in prescribing. I'll just complete the question. Dr. R.K. Ajmera has a question. What is the significance of disease symptom in totality? And Dr. Amit Rai from Surat, he is just putting across that restlessness is a common to ADHD as well as and hyperactive child. So what is its significance in prescribing? Because Zincum Med, when you are prescribed, you consider that restlessness is one of the feature for deciding Zincum Med.
Yes. I got it. It is a pathological symptom. Now we see, because in case of advanced pathology and disease, you have basically very few symptoms. As the miasm goes higher, whereas when you see a psoric patient, you have a lot of symptoms to explain. In this case, whether it is a part of the pathological disease symptom or whether it is a part of the Zincum symptom, that's the question, right?
Yeah. So what is the significance of the disease symptoms while prescribing homeopathic remedy?
Basically we take everything now, whatever part of disease symptom, now that is not part of the epilepsy, right? What that is part maybe of the part of the attention deficit hyperactive disorder. But we have here a patient who is come with epilepsy with an hyperactive disorder. There are two comorbid conditions in one patient, correct? Am I getting clear? Hello?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. So when there are two conditions here, would you like to treat this patient of epilepsy first or just his ADHD going and he continues his epilepsy? What is more disturbing in his life is his epilepsy. And that is not allowing him to have a normal life. He could not go out of his house. After his epilepsy got treated, see, when there are two diseases happening, that's what is given in Organon also, right? The weaker one is always behind and the stronger one is expressing. Dr. Kamlesh, can you put a light on this? Aphorism, I think somewhere 30 plus, where there are two diseases happening together in one patient.
Yeah, this is with regards to the complex disease when they are happening. So here,
So that is what it
the
is.
stronger one. Yeah.
Expression was the epilepsy. When the epilepsy came out, that's exactly what Cuprum did. Cuprum reduced the epilepsy initially, but it could not do much significant as far as concentration. It could not do much part about his ADHD. And the first prescription of Cuprum didn't come on the basis of the repetition. It came on basically the pathological prescription or maybe the totality which was presenting at that moment on the first day. So that's how Cuprum did work well. Some question came up how Cuprum was selected. It was basically on the acute presenting totality. So when the totality was fine, initially also I told you, because a lot of time the worry of the patient and the relative is this suffering of mine should stop. If you are able to stop my convulsions or reduce my convulsions, I will continue the homeopathic treatment. But if my convulsions are not reducing, not stopping, even if you take care of the other problems, that problem will not be solved. The patient either will leave you or will not follow up with you. So whenever you want to hold your patient, they have a presenting totality and they have a chronic totality. So the first totality was Cuprum on the presenting totality, which was acute. But the baseline, I'm still following up with the patient with Zincum, and the patient is basically quite stable with Zincum after that. There has been a follow-up for more than a year. After that, now they have flown to Canada, so I need to just couple of months back. But his quality of life has been much better. He's almost 90% better. He's able to grasp things. He's able to sit in class. No doubt, the father said his restlessness is there. You could see the restlessness. But far better than what a lot of his anti-epileptic drugs have been. He has come from 5 medicines, sometimes to 1 or 2 medicines. Even that will be over a period. It will take around 3 to 4 years to reduce. I've got patients of convulsions, epilepsy. It has taken at least 5 years to stop all the medicines. And even the neurologist will always tell them to take it at least for minimum 3 years from the time of the last convulsions. That is what even the, so always be in consultation with the neurologist. So at least they also know that this is the result coming up with homeopathy. And you have to work with the consultant. See, they also know that homeopathy is giving results and you need to work hand in hand with the consultant consult. So if you have a neurological case, a homeopath and a neurologist need to work. You may need some other help of even counselors, maybe ADHDs are there. So those specialists also you look at. It's basically a teamwork. Yeah, I've heard of Dr. Baldwin, cases of autistic children, ADHD children, and it's a teamwork. So, but the contribution of homeopathy as far as right remedy brings a lot of comfort in the suffering patient. Any more questions? The potency, sir, please explain the potency, dose and repetition of the medicine. The first potency I told was Cuprum 200 and then 1M. So when the potency is going higher, it comes to my understanding that the remedy is either partially right or maybe not right. If the need for repetition is more frequent and the potency keeps rising, then be convinced that your remedy is partially right or it is wrong. And you have to step in immediately without wasting much time. And the second time when I reevaluated, it was 30 potency. So the result of 30 potency of Zincum, it was only single dose. Repetition was maybe once in 15 days as and when needed, sometimes not needed. And that's how the case was managed. Any more questions? Dr. Kamlesh, are you there?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any further questions. Now it is 4:30. I'm just talking about the time. So if it is okay with the group, then Dr. John can continue with the another case. It will be interesting to have a discussion with him. So is it okay for the group to continue? Okay. So Dr. John, please continue.
Yeah. So it's clear, right? Okay. So you want to discuss another case?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I can tell you on audio now, because video will take a longer time. So there are other cases which are coming. I will stick to basically neurology today. And the other cases which I've been getting is about neurology. There's one young girl who used to come to me. She's around maybe 23, 24. And in fact, I met her once at a wedding ceremony. And the mother, it happened in the ceremony itself. Yeah, Dr. Kamlesh.
Yeah, if you are not going to show on PowerPoint, then close the share so that you can be seen in the proper way.
Okay.
And when you want to share, yeah.
Please.
Yes. Now you don't have to see this. No?
Is the face screen come?
Hello. Yeah. What it comes? Hide video. Then there is active speaker and on the top of the red button of job that is close it.
झोपणार सगळे झोपत नाही तू एकटा झोप म्हणून ते करते
झोपतोच मी जातात नाही आराम 5 मिनिटं बसायचं ये ह्याला हात करते थांबा दे जरासं ये मम्मी बोला मम्मी बोलायला दे मम्मी बोलायला दे
What? Stop sharing, okay. Okay.
Can you see me?
Okay, now now?
Here.
Now it's fine, no? Okay.
Can you see me now, all of you? Dr. Kamlesh? Am I seen? So can I continue? Dr. Kamlesh, can I continue? Okay. So I'm not able to get a feedback. Okay. So I just want to continue from where we left. So similarly, this second case, which I happen to meet doctor there. So I just took her aside and settled her down. And they came to know that I treat convulsions. So after 3 days, she came to my clinic. And the uniqueness of this particular case was that she's been having this convulsion for almost more than 10 years. And she said whenever there are events like weddings, birthday parties, any of the occasions, due to the loud sound, loud music, she immediately gets very excited. And in that excitement, she throws up a convulsions. And she was already on 3 or 4 convulsion remedies with a neurologist. And in spite of whatever medicines were given, this particular episode would not stop. This convulsion thing continued. So when I took over the case, it was found that she had almost 23, but she behaved as if like she's 13, 14-year-old. Her intellect was very poor. She could not study her school. She could not go to any college. She was at home doing nothing much. And those few symptoms, when I went deeper into the case, it was found out that she had a lot of there most of the time. And these were few symptoms which was there, which was taken up. So on that basis, what could be the possible remedy which could come to your mind? Let's make it more interactive. Now, since I no much time to show the video, maybe next time I can show you. So this is a case which comes to you in your clinic, where these are the symptoms. There's a person throws out convulsions. Can you hear me now? Is it better now? Okay, I'll repeat it. You tell me whether you can hear me. Is it okay now? Okay. So this case, yeah, I will just tell you now. This is a girl who's around 23, 24 years old girl, who basically I happened to attend a wedding reception, and she was busy enjoying the function. And when the music between, she gets a convulsion and falls down on the floor. And that's the time people rush and think what happened. And for at least 10 to 15 minutes, the wedding is brought to a halt, thinking that something serious has gone wrong. But and I was around there, so I happened to attend to her. I told her nothing is wrong. She just got one episode of convulsions, and you all can go back and continue the celebration. Then I spoke to the family members. Her mother was there, and I told her next day, you come bring her to my clinic. She said I'm already taking treatment under a neurologist, and she's on a lot of medications. But this keeps happening whenever she attends any function or she has to attend any wedding or any birthday parties. Those are the days we are very sure that she is going to get one convulsions. And these are the days we are very scared. We tell her we don't want to take you, but she says that if I don't attend any functions, only you all are enjoying. So we are always at pains. We go for any weddings and all, we are very scared. She wants to enjoy, but we come home into a very bad state. So when she came the following day to my clinic, when I took the case, it was mentioned that she basically has this for almost more than 10 years, and she's under a regular neurologic treatment with anti-epilepsy, but these number of convulsions have not stopped. In a month, at least she keeps getting 3 to 4 minimum. And it is not stopping at all, and we need to do something. And the attacks when it comes are very, very severe with a lot of fraud. The typical pre-ictal, ictal and post-ictal, all these phases keep happening. She goes into unconsciousness, and it becomes a very, very bad side of those functions. So when I took this case, it was found that she basically, because of this medication, her intellectual was very poor. She was almost like 10 years behind, 13, 14 years, she was 24 years. She could not complete school after 7th or 8th standard. She could not remember things. She could not do things on her own. She was very dependent on the mother. And when she used to go anywhere out, the mother has to be there. Initially, she was scared. But after taking the totality on this, she had some fears. She had fear of being alone. She had fear of going in the dark. She had fear of a lot of sound. She has fear of noises, loud music. So all this was there. So on this basis, can you think of any, could you treat such a case if you have such informations? Here are the questions to the audience. Dr. Kamlesh, Can you take in any questions or interaction? Let make it a more interactive session. Okay, there is
Yeah,
another
group can interact.
possibility of
I
phosphorus.
think situation is very clear. Okay, phosphorus. Please switch off this screen sharing. Somebody's mobile screen sharing is on. Please switch off.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, there is one Dr. Ramesh saying possibility of stramonium. Very good. There's one Dr. Manali saying it is cicuta. Very good. So basically, I think every homeopath somewhere is thinking of some neurological, some convulsive remedies, and most of you are right. And but how many of you are actually treating cases of epilepsy and convulsions in your clinic? So after this particular webinar, I want each of you, somewhere down the line, we need to start treating all such cases. In fact, a neurologist medications are only giving palliations. This particular case, initially I did give stramonium, as one of the doctors said. It was initially started with stramonium 30. Yes, someone Dr. Sonali Singh Belladonna. So this case has a feature of all these, but acute totality because of the panic, because of the fear of darkness and wanting company. I started with the stramonium and with the 30, not much response. The conversion continued. I raised the potency to 200. With 200, the frequency became less, but from 5, maybe it came down to 3. It didn't stop. I went on to 1M. Still, it came down to 2, but the convergence happened, and the sensitivity to the noise, sound did remain. And mother says that when the whole expressions come, the whole convergence come, the person becomes very stiff, the froth comes, and the expression in the face becomes very bad. In fact, 1 or 2 videos she has sent me that time. And then I reevaluated the case again, and then the remedy was changed. And obviously, after changing the remedy, the patient is doing well till today. In the last, I think, almost 5 months, she has hardly got 1 or 2 convulsions, which is again mild. So basically, in case of advanced pathology, there are not many symptoms which you can see. There could be 1 or 2 characteristic symptoms which comes, which with the help of repertory or which with the help of materia medica can actually help you come to the totality and give you the right remedy. Because even if you see repertory, the PQRS remedies or the characteristic rubrics have only few remedies, sometimes 1 remedy, sometimes 2 remedies only. And if it is a single remedy rubric, then these remedies works the best. But if the rubric is seen in the patient, so sometimes this is how you can solve a lot of cases. So this was a sharing, and the remedy given to this patient after stramonium was, one of the doctors said, Dr. Ramesh, I think, cicuta. So cicuta 30 helped her, and basic indications was on all the totality of symptoms. I have not got a video of that case. I can share you maybe next time. Today I was prepared. The basic thing is we can keep showing a lot of cases. The basic thing of this webinar is, if your approach to a case is right, what I want to tell you is the approach to a case. If your case taking is complete, if your basis is on incomplete case taking without information from the relative, your perception, your observation about the patient, the body language you don't miss out, and you're trying to prescribe on incomplete data, then the guesswork starts. And then you are trying to rope in a lot of remedies. A lot of remedies come partially, 5 remedies, 10 remedies. The more the remedies you see in one patient, I'm very sure that you have not understood the patient. If you are coming with more remedies, you have not understood the patient. So make an effort to spend more time with understanding the patient, try to go more into a proper case taking, case receiving rather, trying to get more information. I will tell one more case of a person, how the information was. I was sharing this with one of my friend, Dr. Dilip Jani, I think, who's on the webinar today. This was a case which came to me. It's not a case of epilepsy or convulsion. This is a case which happens to be a case of Dr. O.P. Kapoor. I think most of them know O.P. Kapoor's lecture, which is held in the month of June, July, August at, I think, Bombay Hospital. He's been doing it. I think he's in the Guinness Book of Records. A person who's been doing it selflessly for, I think, more than 60, 65 years. And he said that the patient tell me that I am a specimen case of O.P. Kapoor, and I was diagnosed as a case of a pulseless disease. Now, what I don't know whether you know what is pulseless. They call it Takayashi's disease. And first thing when you examine a patient, you try to feel the pulse, take the BP, right? And the moment any newcomer or a intern or a senior doctor comes, they come and try to feel my pulse, and they cannot feel my pulse. And Dr. O.P. Kapoor used to say this person will not survive long because his pulse are already gone. And they used to show him, they used to study on me, and he came to me laughing that this is one of the challenging cases for homeopathy. He said, if homeopathy can do something about this case, I think homeopathy can treat any case on the earth. It was a challenge case to me. He came to me some maybe 15 years ago, and he gave me a reason that how you got this problem. But he told me a lot of things about. I used to have a lot of fights and this and that. I'm a businessman. I have a lot of ambition to become big in life. I want to become a multimillionaire, and I didn't give time for myself. I never used to eat food on time. I used to sleep late, and I am very, very over ambitious and this and that. So he gave me a lot of things. Later on, I found out that he was just going around and round, but I could not enter the case at any level. He happened to come alone, and I start with the remedy. I will not tell you the name of the medicine which I started. Important in this case is how the information, when taken 100% by the patient's information, how we can go wrong. He tells me everything, and I gave him a remedy A, and he comes to me in the next two follow-ups saying, I'm not much better. My joint pains are there, and other problems are also continuing. Then I told him, I think you send your wife for the next follow-up, and you don't come. Then I spoke to the wife when she came in the next, after third follow-up, and she said that, what history did he tell you? He's saying that all this is tell you. Did he tell you that I'm his second wife? I said, no. Well, he already left his first wife because his first wife has badly treated him, and he could not take that humiliation. He could not take that insult. And he is a very rich fellow, and he had no face in society to face a divorce. And that's how he suffered after that. And the whole Takahashi or the pulseless disease started after that divorce. And when he comes to me, he has not told me anything about the divorce. And then I told him now, so a lot of time our case starts with the relative. And then I told, okay, now you sit down with me. I think the case starts today. So a lot of cases which is not being treated, we have not started even the case because the relative case is not taken. Because the disease points lies in the negative, right? If everything is good about one's life, then how can disease start? There has to be some exciting cause. Something has disturbed the miasm, and and if you have to describe someone, you ask the person who lives, right? If you ask your spouse to describe you, they will first tell you negatives. But if you will describe yourself, you will describe your positives. Am I getting clear? So whenever you take the information from the relatives, they will describe the negative points first. And those negative points are actually not been told by the patient, or it has been missed out. And that's how you start getting the case solved. A lot of patients, I had a similar case, and the patient's remedy here, there was a lot of humiliation. I had given him initially sulfur, thinking that ambition to make money and this and that. But after the understanding the wife's review, the patient was actually Staphylococcus aureus. And the patient responded wonderfully with Staphylococcus aureus 30. And immediately in a matter of a month, he got his pulse back. He's still living today. This case is more than 15 years. Dr. O.P. Kapoor told that he would not live for more than a year. He would go into renal shutdown. It is an autoimmune disease, and he would not live long. In fact, he had prepared himself to die. He's saying, I'm a living miracle of homeopathy. In fact, he's become a very strong supporter of homeopathy. He manufactures a lot of plastic bags and things and all this banned right away, but he prints out a lot of things, stationaries and all gives it for me, saying that I'm today alive because of homeopathy, and it's thanks to Staphylococcus aureus. He's having a wonderful life today. Later on, he developed some other disease. His Takahashi disease is gone. After around 10 years, he has come down with little of borderline diabetic, but that also is controlled. So when I revalidated his case, now he's coming to a new picture. So his basic remedy today, after understanding his old concern, that was a Staphylococcus aureus state which was out. After he came out of that, he's come to a totality, the total what is called constitution or basic remedy today is lycopodium. And with lycopodium, he's doing very well. And as and when his diabetic fluctuates, so basically initially also history was suggested. I don't know, maybe that moment of time Staphysagree was required, and after Staphysagree came out, is the whole case has been very well been holding with lycopene. Thank you so much. Doctor. Am I audible, Dr. Kamlesh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So was I audible?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, John.
What is the
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
Yeah. So these are some things which I can tell you. I just want to wind up now. I think we have completed almost an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes. So another 10 minutes we'll try to wind up. So when I want to wind up with the thing that irrespective of whatever pathology you get cases, first of all, don't say no to any patients from today onwards. Every case is a challenge to homeopathy and to every homeopath. As Hahnemann says, dare to be wise. So the wisdom will come when you study a base of the particular disease. So whichever disease you can come with a case of psoriasis, you come with a case of vitiligo, you come with a case of renal failure, you come with any pathology. Today we have the very well top version of all the clinical trials, everything on Google. You have the textbook of Harrison. What modern medicine has to offer, the patient has tried everything. They have come to homeopathy because the beautiful homeopathic medicine which we have, those medicines are not there in allopathy. So we are very happy when patients come to us with consultant because they come with everything ready-made for us. Now what is missing in this patient is the right homeopathic medicine, which we are as homeopaths are blessed, thanks to Dr. Hahnemann. So we have to only arrive at the right remedy, make use of the particular cases of analysis, come to a totality of symptom, follow the protocol well. So after you finish a case, try to understand what was unique. How do you find out what is unique in a case? Something which is not very commonly seen. Okay, for example, you have a patient of asthma. A chest physician would always look for asthma with a pathological symptom. Okay, what happens? What is the difficulty? Bronchospasm. He would try to give a bronchodilator. If there is infection, he would give an antibiotic. If the patient oxygen saturation is low, they would give oxygen. So these are the things they would work on. But for a homeopath, how does the body react with the asthma? That is called as a concomitant. What is the time modality of that particular asthma? So a patient has an aggravation at a specific time. If it is 12 to 2, either midday or midnight, you are very clear that it is arsenic alb. A lot of time homeopaths miss out on the time modality. Time modality are very prescriptive of homeopathy. The concomitants are either physical concomitants, what is happening along with the disease, the state of mind, which is with the state of asthma. So the patient becomes very fearful, with anxiety, with fear of death during the phase of asthma, which is exactly happening in today's days of corona around. A lot of fear of dying, fear of death. And that is why everyone is saying that it is a phase of arsenic. The fear factor coming along with any disease and fear of dying and time modality of 12 to 2 a.m. and p.m. comes in favor of arsenic alb. If the asthma is very specific at around 3 to 4 a.m. in the night, it can be either antimtat or it can be either kali carb. It is very specific. If the patient has a white coating tongue and the patient cannot lie down, there's rattling of mucus in the chest, and patient is almost gasping for breath as if it's his last breath, then it can be antimtat with a thick white coating, with a lot of anxieties and fears. If the patient becomes very irritable, the patient becomes very quarrelsome, the patient doesn't know, ill treats, the patient can even become quarrelsome with the doctor. With rubric given, fights with the bread and butter or even quarrels with the doctor. Doctor, I am following you up so well for such a long time. Still, I am having so much faith in you. I am having so much faith in homeopathy, and still I am not getting better. And you have modality of 3 to 4 a.m. Yes, this patient is kali carb. A lot of thing has been told to you. You are not catching it. You are missing the clue. So listen, tell the patient to speak very slowly. See what has been told between the complaints. In between the complaint, the pathology of the disease, there are some sentences which are made, some expressions which are made, some lines which are said. Listen to those words, and those words keep repeating. The patient says, I am very anxious, I am very fearful. Repeatedly, the patient saying, I am getting angry. Repeatedly, I am getting angry. That becomes the disposition. The tendency of the patient is that Hahnemann says very clearly, the selection of the remedy is on the basis of totality of symptoms plus the disposition of the patient. Like last 3 days, we had doctors speaking on acutes, and it was emphasized on totality of symptoms. And the questions were coming that, okay, this could be just a phase, and the patient would have a relapse, or maybe it could be suppression, or it could be just a partial remedy. Yes, possible. Now, because of the paucity of time, doctor had problem in that small setup. They have to see a lot of patients. And the first thing, you have to be very practical in clinics. You cannot be very theoretical. Clinic is a very short span where patients comes and goes. In that short span, you have to observe, you have to get things right, you have to get your remedy right. If you miss, it is just a jhalak dikhla ja. And in that small phase of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, your eyes have to be very open. You have to observe. If you miss it forever. Someone else picks it up, they can cure it, you miss it. That's a senior consultant, or if you're under a senior doctor, the senior doctor picks up the remedy well, and you're wondering what's happening. Because your observation skills you have to develop. You can start developing these skills in your house. When you can just watch people in the house talking. You just observe them, their face language, their body gestures, hand gestures. What you can close the volume, or you try to close your ears and see what they may be talking about. You see people standing outside, one is over. You see people at the bus stops, you see people in the train, their body language. Try to see what they could be speaking about. Try to get a mastery into body languages. One of the best way to understand patient, they say, is this understanding what is not heard. Action speaks louder than words. I repeat this. We are all the time listening to what has been said, but we are not giving importance to what the body language is. A lot of time videos can give it. That's why people are very happy when videos of patients come. But in the clinic, there is only one video. It's in a very short span. There is no recording time. On a webinar or a seminar, you have a full day. You have 1 hour, 2 hours to discuss on one particular case. But in the clinic, the time is very short. So you have to be very alert. The physician, homeopath needs to be very alert, very observant, and with good knowledge of the basics of your clinical medicine, good understanding of the repertory, good knowledge of application of organon, and definitely a very well-versed version of Metica Medica. I think definitely will succeed in every case. And if you don't succeed, we have seniors there, you have Dr. Kamlesh Mehta, there are a lot of people around here who are there to help you. Don't feel bad that you'll get embarrassed, how you got wrong. Everyone learns from their failures. I also learn. I also keep failing every day. I refer to my colleagues, I refer to my seniors. Doesn't matter. This is how we learn. They say failures are stepping stones to success. Don't feel bad to discuss your failures. I'd be more happy if people on the forum come here discussing how they failed. Because we are there. One homeopath cannot treat the whole world. And that's why there are so many people around and so many homeopaths. We are there. We should be united. All the schools of homeopathy should come together so that we are there for the patient, and that's where we can achieve success. All homeopaths all over the world should come in unity so that the huge honors of now we are seeing the corona coming as a challenge to homeopathy. If we are all together, I think we can take this challenge. During Hahnemann's time, he has also taken care of a lot of pandemics. Early epidemic or pandemic which was there in 1918, a lot of cases were very well tackled by homeopathy. And today there is a promise the government of India is saying that I think the other alternative therapies should come. Ayush should come, and the H in Ayush stands for homeopathy. And I think as homeopath, we can do a lot, not only for corona, but a lot of more present and future disease, so that all patients deserve to be fit, deserve to be healthy, so that they can live their life more healthier for the higher purpose of its existence. Thank you so much, Dr. Kamlesh Mehta, for giving me this opportunity. Thanks all of you for giving your time. If there are any questions coming up, you can put it on this group forum. I can be there for another 10-15 minutes. Or else you can put on the Similimum group or Dr. Kamlesh Mehta, Diary of Homeopaths. Thank you so much, Dr. Kamlesh.
Thank you very much, Dr. John Rodrigues, and I'm sure that he requires a grand round of applause. And from all of you, I'm just clapping my
Thank you so much.
On your behalf. Yeah. And the point is that to come forward to share pathological cases that requires courage, and he's open for the discussion. He's open for the questions. He was very clear about answering his points. And the more important is not the result. The important is how one comes to the conclusion of the remedy. So he demonstrated the process. He gave the thinking process. He gave the references. He gave the reportization. He presented his failure and then how he corrected his cases so that from cuprum metallicum he could give zincum metallicum, he gave stramonium, then gave secuta. So this is what is required, and this is what will only help us to treat the cases if we remain with the open mind and we share with each other. And that is where he made one important point. We take the case, we take references, we do a lot of homework, we give our best to prescribe. But what we are missing so many times is the observation. And that is what from aphorism number 6, Hahnemann emphasized on observation. Aphorism number 83, 84, he said, without observation, we cannot understand the quality of what patient is making us to understand. So the observation aids to our perceiving. It is not the matter of only collecting the data. And this is a very good point that Dr. John Rodrigues, you have brought it, you emphasized it, and I'm sure that we all know it, but coming to us again and again in the different way, from the different corner that keeps us alert for keeping our senses sound, and we keep observing without any prejudices. So thank you very much. There is also 2 announcements for the group. Group, please switch off your microphones. There are 2 announcements. One is that we have one webinar, web meeting with Dr. Pankaj Lakhani. That is on Friday at 3:30 p.m. It is a Hahnemann Day. It is a World Hahnemann Day, World Homeopathy Day. On this day, we have Dr. Lakhani sharing from Surat that homeopathy is super fast in acute conditions, and he's going to share the things, and we will post the ID on Similimum group as well as on the diary group. You may not need to register because that takes a lot of your time. It gives a lot of pop-ups on your WhatsApp. So registration may not be required. And we will give you the ID, you join. We again meet on Friday at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, whereby Dr. Pankaj Lakhani will share homeopathy is super fast in acute condition. You may visit his YouTube channel and subscribe that homeopathy is super fast. Dr. Pankaj Lakhani is also doing a very great job in Gujarat. He's arranging seminars which is free of cost, and is promoting learning in homeopathy so that everybody becomes efficient. Another small announcement is that Dr. John Rodrigues has given me opportunity to share my views about repertory on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. So my request to the group is, please send me your questions and suggestions or your viewpoints about repertory beforehand. You can send to Dr. John, you can send directly to me, you can post it on Similimum or on diary. So collectively, we make the sessions more useful. Thank you very much, Dr. John. If anybody has to say anything, please, John, you are not audible. Just a moment.
Tomorrow's session at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
That is the 5th webinar on Similimum, will be conducted by Dr. Sanjay Modi, and he has just agreed to speak on how to manage acute cases in your clinic, and he has got in the last 15 days 2 cases of corona virus which he has treated. One case is from Italy and one case is a doctor, and he has got complete follow-up of that case with a proper indicated homeopathic remedy. So he'll be sharing that case tomorrow, and how to manage other acute conditions. And the session will start tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I will put up the detail on the Similingam group as well as the Diary of Homeopaths groups. So we'll have it maybe between 11 to 1. We'll try to put as 2 sessions, 11 to 11:40 or till 12 and 12 to 1. So that is tomorrow's session for Thursday, Dr. Sanjay Modi. And Saturday's session will be Dr. Kamlesh Mehta, as he rightly said now, on repertory. So we expect all the Similingam doctors and doctors from the other groups and from Diary of Homeopaths to pour in your questions, whatever difficulties you face, understanding the repertory, because that is one tool which has helped me and all the doctors in practice. The proper application of repertory in every case, on the basis of organon and the clinical medicine. If you do it well, I don't think so any homeopath will fail in any case. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to Dr. John for such a wonderful coordination and the work and your time and your energy. So keep it up.
Yeah,
Be
thank you so much.
safe, be healthy, and we go on meeting for learning together. We meet tomorrow, we meet on Friday, we meet on Saturday, we keep on meeting. Have a good.
Let's do the best in this. So we are come closer in homeopathy in this national lockdown. Our locks are all open up for homeopathy. It's a time for a great learning, and let's have all a wonderful Hanuman Day this 10th of April. Wishing all a very happy Hanuman Day in advance. Thank you so much, Dr. Kamlesh Mehta, and all participants of the group. God bless you.
Okay. So now I switch off, or anybody has to put any words. Okay, thank you, Pankaj Lakhani. And anything else? Any other things? Okay.
Yes, sir. Can I share?
Yeah, Pankaj
Hello.
bhai.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pankaj
Yes,
bhai.
sir.
Go ahead.
Yes. As said by Dr. John, sir, that treating this type of pathological cases is at the moment is not everyone's cup of tea. But by coming together and learning together and evolve together for treating such kind of cases and getting the knowledge and treating such kind of cases will be helpful as a whole to the society. अगर हम ये सोचे कि सभी होम्योपैथ इस टाइप के पैथोलॉजी केसेस ट्रीट कर रहे हैं तो एज अ होल होम्योपैथी की इमेज काफी हद तक चेंज हो सकती है.
Very true, Dr. Pankaj. I agree with you.
Yes.
And that was one of the reasons I took up these cases, that homeopathy is for general practice, homeopathy is for advanced practice, and homeopathy is for incurable practice. So we have an MBBS of homeopath who is the BHMS. We have an MD of homeopathy, and what I am trying to tell you is the DM of homeopathy. So why not we become all DMs of homeopathy rather than just sit with BHMS? That was my... Thank you for your question.
Yeah, together we can grow, and that is the idea of the fellowship, that everybody's experience we share. So one's experience helps other to become efficient, and that is how, as Dr. John said, that everybody cannot treat all the cases, but together we can make the change. And with this, we remain together, we continue learning, and we meet again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Till then, have a good time.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah.
Thank you so much. Life is a continuous learning experience. So keep learning every day of your life. Every day you cannot say I have learned. We are still learning. I'm learning a lot from Dr. Kamlesh Mehta, and we are learning every day from our patients. The best teacher today is our patients. So keep learning from your patients. Keep learning from your seniors. Keep learning from everything around you, and that's how you grow in homeopathy. So towards growth in homeopathy. Thank you so much. God bless.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Bye, Paul.